Hi, this is Jeffrey Sussman, author of Boxing and the Mob, The Notorious History of the Sweet Science, and you're listening to the great Ringside Boxing Show.
Live from Monterey on California's beautiful Central Coast, this is the Ringside Boxing Show. I'm Dennis Taylor, welcoming you to join me and my expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwan Zahid, and John J. Responti, today and every week for the hottest, sweatiest show on the West Coast. And now, from Studio 1A, it's the Ringside Boxing Show.
Yes, it is. Welcome to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Network. I'm Dennis Taylor, and today's featured guest is one of 6 fighters in the history of boxing to hold all 4 major world title belts, the WBA, WBC, WBO, and IBF, all at the same time. You know who I'm talking about? Claressa Shields, T-Rex, the undefeated middleweight champion of the world in the women's division, is going to join us in just a few minutes to talk about kicking boys' asses in street fights, avoiding the gunplay and the drug scene in one of the murder capitals of the United States, where she grew up, tales of her father, who was a mythical underground street fighter in Flint, Michigan, and a whole bunch more. John Responti and I spoke to Claressa on Saturday, and it was one of the liveliest, most interesting interviews we've had in a very long time on this show. And if you're a regular listener, you know that we've had some good ones, so stay tuned for this one. This is good. Our British correspondent, Paul McLaughlin, is taking the week off, so we won't be hearing from him, but we'll catch you up on the week in boxing with our inimitable boxing experts. Travis Hartman is a professional boxer, trainer, and promoter from Osborne, Missouri. He's now living and training in Orlando, Florida. Rizwan Zahid is a boxing journalist in Toronto, and John J. Responti, chief lead writer for MaxBoxing.com and DogHouseBoxing.com. And John and I are co-authors of Intimate Warfare, the true story of the Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward boxing trilogy, an Amazon bestseller. And first, I want to say congrats to our congrats to Garcia Boxing and our local contender, Ruben Villa IV, who's now ranked number 8 in the world by the WBO in the featherweight division. Just saw Ruben win a unanimous decision over Luis Alberto Lopez on May 10th in the Showbox main event. And so big things are ahead for RV4. Congratulations, RV4. Dracula. John, first of all, there is a scary new contender in the lightweight division. Devin Haney scored a brutal one-punch knockout in the 5th round Saturday night against a guy named Antonio Moran, a guy from Mexico. Does Haney look like a top-tier guy at 135? That's a division that's still got Lomachenko and Jose Pedraza, Lee Selby, Teofimo Lopez, Masayoshi Nakatani, several others. How do he look to you?
That's the best I've seen him, Dennis. I've wondered about him because he's got a great publicity machine. I mean, I was laughing all week as I was getting emails from his publicist and others, and I'm like, God, this guy doesn't even really have a world title. He has some other titles that I purposely don't include in my articles because I think that they just give out titles like they give out candy nowadays, so it really aggravates me. So that's my pet peeve if anybody ever reads anything that I write, because until you run a real world title that I consider legitimate, I don't put interim or international or anything like that unless it's a huge, huge deal, and I don't think it is. He wants the world title. He wants to fight for a world title shot. So he reminded me of Floyd Mayweather last night, to be honest, which makes sense since Floyd Mayweather Sr. trains him. Yeah, because he was using his lead right hand a lot, and that was what Floyd loved to do, as you guys remember. Floyd stole that from Muhammad Ali, who made that famous in the 60s and 70s, the lead right hand. I mean, other fighters do it too, but Floyd and Muhammad Ali were just masters with the lead right hand. Hell, even Canelo Alvarez uses it now. You have to be really fast. It's a really risky punch. And that's the thing about Devin Haney. He's really fast. His fists are fast. His feet are fast. And he likes to fight. Antonio Moran, the kid he was fighting, no world beater, but still, he said he was going to walk Devin Haney down, and in the end, it was Devin Haney who was walking him down. And he's only 20, so he's like our friend Lopez in the sense that he's just a kid, but he's loaded with talent, and he lived up to the hype, and that's difficult because you got to remember that he wasn't even going to be the headliner. It was going to be Usyk was going to be the headliner, and he got injured. He was going to fight Carlos Takam, and then that fight fell through. So all the pressure was on Devin Haney, just signed by Matchbox, to headline a show, and he delivered. You know, he delivered. He looks like he'll be trouble for any of the top guys. I think he beats a lot of them because of his speed. I was imagining him against Lomachenko. Now we know Lomachenko is 32, but Lomachenko, I would obviously give him the edge just because he's got so much experience and he's so smart in there. But Haney is a natural, and he seems to be improving, which makes sense. He's growing into his man strength, as they keep saying, and he's not going to fight at 135 much longer, from what I understand. So I wasn't cynical watching the fight, but I was like, okay, you're going to have to show me something here before I write something that's pretty good about you. I mean, I've written good stuff, but more glowing. It wasn't so much glowing, but just about his potential and where he can go. And he did well. That knockout could be the knockout of the year. An overhand right, and he set it up perfect. He was using this jarring jab, Dennis, and he went to the body with a right hand, and then he came back with an overhand right, and Moran had been getting hit in the body so many times he had dropped his guard a little bit, and bam. I mean, as we said off air, I was just glad the kid got up. You know, he went down. His whole family was crying because it was one of those kind of knockouts. It's an ooh and ah that wows us as boxing writers and fans, but a second or two later when you see the guy laying there and his eyes are closed and he's not moving, you're like, uh-oh. Mm-hmm. So he's okay, thankfully. But, yeah, no, Devin Haney looks like he's going to be a real interesting guy to keep an eye on, and he's loaded with talent.
And, Riz, you also thought it might have been the knockout of the year.
I mean, I know we still have half the year left, but, I mean, that's a hard one to beat. You know, there has been some good knockouts this year, but one of those ones where a guy just, you know, it's not even so. We've seen kind of the slow motion fall over. We've seen the effects over a few punches, but this was, I mean, he was out. I mean, hell, we just saw a pretty great one last week with Deontay Wilder, right? But right. But even with that one, Brazil managed to somewhat get to his feet. But this is one of those ones that as soon as that shot lands, I mean, it's a walk off. You know, you're like, that's it, right? And more impressive is just how Haney puts it together, because he's not just a ridiculous power puncher, right? He's a guy with a lot of skill, and people have some pretty high hopes for him because, you know, for such a young kid, his maturity level and the way he fights is well beyond those years. And you know, I wouldn't say you want to rush him, but I don't think him waiting a couple of years is really going to make that much of a difference in terms of where he is, because clearly I think he's ready to be great already. We already know he's good. He's very good. And he just, you know, each time we see him, he looks better. But I do want to see, obviously, an increase in competition. You know, it seems like he said he wants, you know, he's ready for a title shot now, and I don't see a reason why we wouldn't see that, because that was a brutal one-punch shot. But again, it's how he did it. You know, he's able to stay on the outside. He's able to use his reflexes and speed to kind of just control the rhythm. And what impressed me was that he still has there's still a killer instinct about him, right? He had a chance to go for a finish, and he obviously saw something and thought that I could back this guy up and land a shot. And, you know, he wasn't just comfortable going and winning a decision. I mean, for a guy with that much skill, and he, you know, with that much skill, he sets up power. And, you know, it's obviously they're not the same style, but in some ways it's like Golovkin, where it's just a guy who has a crazy amount of power. He's not relying on the power to get him wins. It just comes with the territory, and his skills are the one, you know, skills allow him to connect with those power shots, which has that result. So Haney's he's gonna be dangerous for a really long time. But I mean, like anything else, until he takes that major step in competition, we don't know exactly how good he'll be. But you know, right now he's one of those guys who's definitely passing the eye test and then some.
John, you mentioned Lomachenko. We got word this week that he's going to fight Luke Campbell. That's a done deal for the end of August, according to Top Rank. The vacant WBC lightweight title is going to be on the line. Campbell is a guy who's 20-2, 16 knockouts. Lomachenko we know about. He's, you know, a lot of people put him right at the top of the pound-for-pound list. Campbell lost a split decision to Jorge Linares in 2017. And his other loss was also a split decision, Ivan Mendy, way back in 2015. In the last 2 years, he's had 3 fights, TKOs over a guy named Troy James and a guy named Adrian Young, Y-U-N-G. and then there was a unanimous decision in the rematch against Mendy. I kind of wonder what he's doing in this title fight. Am I underestimating Luke Campbell?
What you just provided is not good, but he's a talented fighter, Dennis. He's an Olympian. He reminds me kind of the bridesmaid who's never the bride. Seems like he fights guys that might be better than him, or not might, are better than him. But he's the babyface guy that you don't take very seriously. But he's got guts, obviously, as all fighters do, and he's got heart. And that Linares fight, he was getting his butt kicked pretty bad for 5 or 6 rounds, maybe more if I remember correctly. And he came back. He battled back. He made the fight very close. I didn't think he won it. I was a little surprised at the split decision. I thought he was going to lose a close, unanimous decision. But he's got ability. He's taller than Lomachenko. Will he beat Lomachenko? Of course not. He will not, because he was having problems with Linares' speed, and we know how fast he is. But we also know that Lomachenko stopped Linares. But we also know that was a pretty tough fight, and the scorecards were very close, and Lomachenko was really made probably his toughest professional fight. He got knocked down, as we remember, and then he ended it with a body shot. But Campbell is just, he might never win a world title because he's got the bad luck or whatever of being around at a time when there are champions that are just a little better than him. If he ever wins a title, it's going to be probably like a George Groves thing. It might be his 3rd or 4th try. But he's very popular in the UK, and that obviously helps. I think Lomachenko is going to the UK to fight him, so they're going to have a bunch of the UK people. They'll probably get 50,000 at wherever it's going on. So I understand why Arum is doing it, and then he brings Lomachenko probably maybe back for one more fight before the end of the year. Maybe not, though. But, yeah, Luke Campbell, you are underestimating him a little. It's just that he hasn't really fought anybody other than Linares, in a sense, and a few other guys that are below the top 10. But he's got talent, and I think he will be competitive for a little while against Lomachenko. But he's better than Crawler, who Lomachenko just demolished with ease. He's a better fighter than him. But, with Lomo can can do so many things that he still blows us away. But, I've always liked Luke Campbell, so I expect him to do everything in his power and some to be competitive and not win, like I said. But he will certainly give it 150%.
Okay, well, speaking of Arum says he's confident he can make a fight between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence for October and November. And I'm going to toss this one to Riz because I'm pretty sure he's standing by a big bucket of water to dump on this right now and depress all boxing fans everywhere. Go ahead and break the hearts of our listeners, Riz. Why is this crazy talk?
Yeah, go ahead, Riz.
I just can't see it happening now. I mean, especially when, they're talking about happening maybe a year and a half from now, and then all of a sudden it's sped up now, and especially with the rumored fights that they've kind of already talked about. Why now? The timeline I think it's one of those too good to be true comments. If they said, they'll each have a tune-up on the same network and then they'll tee something up, then maybe. But, I mean, there's too many questions to ask here. Like, first of all, you went from, trying to put up the fight and making it bigger to having it on 5 months' notice, and then what network it's going to be on. There's too many questions at play. But, I mean, that being said, why would he say something if there wasn't, I guess, some truth to it? But that being said, Bob Arum is the most experienced promoter in the history of boxing. So if he's saying it, then there's got to be a reason he's saying it, and it could be just to stir the pot a little bit, or it could be for some other reason. I think they want to appear that they're being very aggressive pursuing the fight, whether that's the case or not. And it's kind of what I mentioned a little earlier. I think Crawford needs Spence because on his side, there's not really a lot of guys for Crawford to fight. Kell Brook at this point is the most viable option, and Spence has already knocked him out in England. So how do you top that? Crawford is not willing to go to England, so obviously he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be able to top that. So I think at this point, if Crawford and his side are not willing to speak up more and make themselves more relevant in the news, then I think there's going to be a little more forgotten. I hope that's not what this is, but I understand at the same time that that's what it is, because I wouldn't be surprised if they're saying they want Spence and then they'll end up fighting Kell Brook in October, which I think is still probably more likely.
Okay, let's give our listeners a feel for some of these exciting upcoming fights, starting with the World Boxing Super Series. John, the showdown between Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor is coming up later this year. To me, that is one of the most intriguing matchups of 2019. It feels like a 50-50 fight to me. Who's going to win this?
You're right. It is a 50-50 fight, and what I like about both guys is they're both versatile. And your relative, Josh Taylor, he showed some
my twin brother.
Uh-huh. Your twin brother, yeah, your younger twin brother, right? He showed he's gritty, and he likes to fight. He's a boxer puncher more, but he wants to rumble, which makes Prograis happy, because as we know, the Rougarou likes to get inside and bang. Mm-hmm. But the Rougarou's been showing different sides to himself lately, because he got tired of people saying that he took too many punches and he couldn't box very well. So he's been doing both lately. He's been boxing a little bit more, fighting it a little bit more controlled, and it's been very impressive. So this is just going to be – it's probably going to be one of those fights, Dennis, that it's going to be very tactical for a while with explosions of fury at times. But you got a lot of respect from both guys. They're both supremely confident. If I'm going to give anybody the edge right now, I'd probably give Prograis the edge, because I think he's a little more aggressive, and he might steal a few rounds with his aggressiveness. But Taylor punches hard, and as our other former guest, Baranchuk, found out, I wasn't sure anybody could knock him down, and he got knocked down by Taylor. And Taylor said, "I'm going to surprise him with my power." Mm-hmm. And down he went. So he's got some pop for a skinny, tall guy. We know Regis can punch. So yeah, you're putting a gun to my head. I'll give Regis a slight edge, but man, you're right. I'm as excited as you are about this one, because you got two guys with A talent. They're in their primes, I believe, even though Regis has had more fights than Josh Taylor, but he's in his prime. Taylor's either close or right there. They're both, like I said, just so confident that one can beat the other. So yeah, Prograis by a very close decision, or maybe even a stoppage. But if it goes the other way, which seems amazing, because we've never even seen Prograis. See, that's the thing, Dennis. I've never even seen Prograis in any trouble. I saw Taylor against Postel having some problems in the early going before he figured him out and dominated him. I haven't seen Prograis in that kind of deep water yet. So does that mean he's more talented, or his style? But, again, it's all about the style. So, yeah, I'll give Prograis the edge. But it should be a very intriguing fight and a good fight.
Riz, what's your vibe on this one?
It's going to be a good fight. I mean, I think this is one of those fights where both guys are fighting the best they've ever fought. So because of that, it's actually harder to predict, because, and both guys have a strong amateur background. Both guys have seen different styles, so both guys can adapt. And we've never had to see either fighter really take a great shot either. So I think there's as much as we know about each fighter, we also don't know. There's so much information we don't know, including how well they can take a punch. What happens if they're in a tough fight in later rounds? Neither of them have had to kind of face that yet. So it's to be honest, it's really difficult to say. I'm curious what the betting odds are actually for the fight. But the fight itself is very interesting, and I think I don't think we're going to see a blowout from either guy. I think this looks like it's going to be a close fight. And this looks like, Prograis is a more experienced guy, at least as a professional, so I can see him pulling away with the win. But you got to think that these guys might see each other in a couple of years from now too. And whoever loses this fight, this is not one of those fights where it takes you a few steps back. This might be one of those fights where it's kind of just a stepping stone to something greater, particularly for the more inexperienced guy in Taylor.
Okay, Riz, let me stay with you on this next one, and then we'll give John the shot to contradict you here if he wants. The Filipino Flash, Nonito Donaire, First ballot Hall of Famer, long in the tooth, but he's looking pretty good lately, fighting the monster, Naoya Inoue, in the WBSS final. Does Nonito have a shot?
I don't know, to be honest. I can't say he doesn't, because there's one thing he's always had, his power, and just like the same we're talking about the other fight, we haven't seen Inoue take a great shot, right? He hasn't had to.
Yep.
That being said, I mean, let's face it, he's been pretty fortunate to get to this position. It took, a Ryan Burnett injury and a Tate injury to prevent his fight from happening with Donaire. So he's kind of just been a walk-on, right? I mean, at this point, like, maybe he doesn't even need to fight, to get the win, right? I mean, we all need some luck sometimes. But he looks dangerous. Now I wonder we've only seen Donaire hurt once and knocked out once, and that was against Nicholas Walters, who's a very large fighter. He's a monster puncher, but he's not that large. But I wonder, we know his power. He's called a monster for a reason. His power is ridiculous. So I wonder what happens if he lands. Because if two things can happen. If Donaire takes it well, that's really bad for Inoue, because he's got he's used to blowing everyone out. And he has went the distance, but it's going to require a complete different strategy. And obviously, if Donaire can take the shot well, I think Inoue's skills are better, and because of that, he's going to win anyways. But if he's able to hurt Donaire, then Donaire's in deep trouble, because I can't see him recovering and going on to outbox Inoue. And I don't think he's smart. I don't think Inoue's stupid enough to get lured into a firefight when he already has the skills to win. So again, another interesting fight, and another young guy against a more veteran guy. But it'd be foolish to count out Donaire, because with his power and what he's done in his career, he's always in a fight.
John, how do you like this one?
Well, yeah, Riz is right on. I mean, Donaire's story has been a great one. I mean, a year ago or a little bit more, we were all wishing he would retire, and when he got into this tournament, we were like, oh boy, what's he doing? And that was after he had lost to Frampton, and it looked like he was pretty much done. And he went down in weight, which is incredible for he was 35, then he's 36 now. And got his very fortunate victory over Ryan Burnett, because I can't sit here and say that I think he was going to win that fight. I think it was going to be very close, very competitive. But so he has been fortunate, lucky, whatever you want to say. And let's be honest, I mean, he's 36. He's past his prime. Past his prime. But like all the power punchers, and this is a cliche, but it's true, the last thing they lose is that power. So he's got one of the best left hooks in the game. So if he can land that left hook and hurt the monster, then we got to fight. But there's no way I can contradict what Riz is saying, because the monster's he's too young, he's fast, he's skillful, he can do more now than Donaire. I think Donaire is probably going to say, look, I'm going to probably go for it, in the sense that he wants a firefight. So maybe he can land that left hook, because and Inoue will fight him, no doubt about it. So, and from what even though his fights are so quick, he can be hit, it looks like. So for that reason, Donaire will have a shot, but I just hope that it isn't brutal. I don't want. He's only been stopped once, knocked out. I was there. The straw man, Nicholas Walters, he staggered the straw man 2 rounds before that, but. And he got knocked out, and it was pretty bad. He went down pretty hard. I don't particularly want to see that again. Nonito's one of the best people in the game, but that kid, the monster. I mean, he's not called the monster for nothing. And he's really got a lot of power, and he throws his punches. I don't think he ever throws any pity pat punches. I mean, he's trying to knock you into tomorrow right from the get go. So yeah, Inoue is definitely the favorite, and probably by stoppage. But if, like Riz said, if Donaire can take his shot and the fight gets later into the fight, then Donaire might land one of his left hooks, because, Monster might get a little tired, might have punched himself out a little bit. So it's intriguing, but no, the Monster most likely will win.
John, Andy Ruiz is a 25-1 betting dog against Anthony Joshua this coming Saturday night. Does Ruiz have a better chance than that?
Oh yeah, I think so. And I got an article all ready to set up on Max Boxing, Dennis, is going to be called Anthony Joshua versus the Little Fat Boy. And that's because that's what Ruiz calls himself, the Little Fat Boy. So you've got the tank and the Little Fat Boy. But, yeah, he's got skills. We know that. He's got faster hands, and Joshua can be robotic, and if he can hit him with combinations, who knows? But, again, if you ask me who's going to win, obviously I think it's going to be Joshua, but it's not 25-1, and I expect the odds to go down. I think they went down a little bit already. I think it's a big deal. I think they're like 20-1 at this point. I would think they'll go down even more before the fight, but Ruiz, the thing about Ruiz that makes him a pretty live underdog, I think, is he knows this is his best shot and maybe his last shot at winning a heavyweight title. So he's going to be the best he can be, and that can always be dangerous for anybody because he knows this is it for him. And who knows what would happen with Joshua? You know, if he has a little bit of a letdown because he thought he was going to fight Big Baby, I doubt it, because I think he thinks that Ruiz is better than Big Baby, which he could be saying just to keep the interest up. But if he has only an okay night and Ruiz has his best night, then, hey, an upset is possible. But I expect Joshua to win that one. But it's another good fight, and it's going to be very strange in a sense because Joshua's going to have 4 inches on him, so that's going to be really a problem for Ruiz from the beginning. But if he can get him, he can take his punches and get him later into the fight, then he's got a shot. But I expect AJ to win the fight.
Is Ruiz better than Big Baby, Riz?
I think that's a different style. Ruiz he's great, right? But it's funny because actually him and Big Baby are both overweight in different ways. But Ruiz is one of those guys. He's deceptively fast. Like he's for a guy who's chubby. That's the only way you can describe him. Mm-hmm. Like he can move his hands, right? And that's just there's a skill that comes with that. But it's one of those things you wonder. I mean, if he had if he was in better shape, how much better would he be, right? And I don't think there's a clear answer to that because I think his power would diminish a little bit too. So. But Joshua is going to be the better in shape athlete, and I think because of that, he's probably going to win in the later rounds. We've never seen Ruiz have to take a punch the way Joshua can throw a punch. But the way I look at it, I mean, if Parker went the distance with Joshua, I think Ruiz can too, and I think Ruiz has better skill than Parker does. And credit for Ruiz for taking a fight on last minute, and we know when it comes to heavyweights, right? One shot changes everything. Right, as skilled as Joshua is and all that, we've seen him drop. We've seen every heavyweight hurt at some point. These guys are 250 pounds throwing sledgehammers at each other, so it would be foolish to just completely write off Ruiz. But I do think that he's a guy who's in great, whose speed is deceptive. And I hope he comes into the fight as good a shape as possible. His only loss was against Parker in New Zealand in a fight where a lot of people thought he won. But that was one of those fights where you looked at it and you thought, if he was in better shape, he definitely wins that fight. But you know what? Again, since then he's looked good. I just hope he's in better shape because I would hate to have another Chris Arreola. By that I mean a guy who's skilled, who's likable, but just didn't put it together in training camp and will always come up short. So I hope that doesn't happen here.
Okay, and last one for you guys. It's a jump ball. Either one of you can talk about it or not. Anybody wondering what's going on with Paulie Malignaggi? This is a guy who has always had a brash, in-your-face New York City personality, but he also seemed to have grown up. He seemed to me to have grown up a little bit when we heard him doing analysis for Showtime. But now, these feuds with these MMA guys, Conor McGregor first, and now this guy Artem Lobov, seem to have pushed him over some kind of an emotional cliff. Or maybe it's just stick, maybe it's just hype. But he's fighting a bare knuckle fight against this guy Lobov, and that's gimmicky in itself for sure. But I think it's really going to interest a lot of combat sports people, just because it's unusual. They're in a 22-foot circular ring and no gloves. But during this build-up, Malignaggi spat in Lobov's face, which crosses a huge line for me. He tried to hit Lobov in the head with a microphone. He's called him some really vile names. He promised to perform a bodily function on Lobov that we won't describe here when the fight's over. He said he plans to put Lobov in a coma. I mean, John, smack talk's one thing, but Paulie's going so far overboard that it makes me wonder if he's lost some of his marbles as opposed to just trying to sell tickets. And plus, I got to wonder what he's doing to his future as a ringside commentator. Is this somebody Showtime is going to want to have manning its microphone in the future?
That's good, Dennis. That's a good point. He should be thinking about that. I guess I jumped in because he's a Paisan, and I really do believe it's a shtick. Has he crossed a little bit of a line? Yes, but what is the line nowadays? Yeah, we don't want to bring politics into this, but there doesn't seem to be a line anywhere anymore. I mean, people can go as low as they want, and people will go, that's okay. Wilder went very low last week about putting Brazil in a coffin, and we knew what he was doing. We said it. We said, he's just trying to sell tickets, and he's going to apologize very profusely after the fight, which is exactly what he did. And I think that's the same thing with Paulie, but I would hope that if he's as smart as I think he is, he might be saying to Showtime, look, I might be going over the top a little bit here, but just bear with me. I'm just trying to sell some tickets. I want to try this bare knuckle thing, and there's not much interest, and I got to go crazy here to try to get people to watch it, because you're right, the combat sports people are going to be wanting to watch it, but I'm not going to watch it. Another question, though, Dennis, is I don't really know why he's doing this, unless it's just like the old adage about boxers that even though he's not professionally boxing anymore, the competitive fire that he still has it. He still likes the mano-a-mano thing. He hasn't got it out of his system yet. The whole Conor McGregor thing, that was an ego thing when McGregor said that he whooped him in a sparring session, and that one would have been fun. I wouldn't have watched it, but I would have been a little bit more interested in what's going on right now. But yeah, I think it's just an act. I do, but that was a very good point you made. I hope he doesn't hurt his credibility with Showtime, because he's one of the best as far as an analyst goes. Him and Al Bernstein are a great team, but like I said, I think Paulie's a pretty smart guy, and I think he's nodding and winking at Showtime like, look, just let me be a little nutso here. I'll be back. So we'll see.
Riz, do you want to see this fight?
No, not at all. I think you're onto something. I think Paulie Malignaggi seems like a guy who's I think it's partly ego. I think it's partly like he's kind of always wanted attention for weird reasons. Like, I don't know, I've never seen a guy get a haircut in the middle of a fight. And you're right. I thought we saw a level of maturity change, and I think we saw. And the really sad thing about this all is that we always thought he was a great commentator, and that we thought that was such a great progression for him as a fighter. And then when he lost a couple of fights, you thought this is such a natural progression of what he should be doing. And it seems like he's getting away from that now. And I just think there's a certain amount of attention he just wants, and it doesn't make sense because I think he's again we thought. This is a guy who's great at what he does, but doesn't seem like he wants to do that, or not well enough at least. And there's very few fighters I think who can do both at the same time. Hopkins was one, only because Hopkins fought till I don't know, he was 50 something and was still as a commentator for like 15 years doing that. So there's very few guys who can kind of do both and not like Hopkins never felt like I think he absolutely needed the ring or needed attention. He just did it because he simply liked it. He wanted that as his legacy. Where I think Malignaggi, this is just becoming a sideshow at this point. He has some, if you remember what the whole thing with McGregor, he was so sour that McGregor said he beat him sparring, that he demanded the full tape got released, and then it did, and Malignaggi looked even worse. And then and that tells me there's a certain, it's one of those things. I don't know if you guys seen the Simpsons episode where Homer looks in the mirror and he sees a chiseled body, right? And that's obviously not what he is. And I think that's what Paulie's kind of seeing right now. I think he's seeing stuff that's not there. And I don't know if it's ego or attention or a bit of both, but I hope it stops because as a commentator, he's great. But I think you guys are right. This could potentially really damage his career as a commentator because I don't think it looks very professional to have a guy like this on when he's talking a lot of nonsense in a bare-knuckle boxing event.
Okay, there's your weekly fix from our expert analysts, Rizwan Zahid and John J. Risponti. Travis couldn't make it this week. Have a great week, fellas. Thank you.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. And the undefeated Undisputed, women's middleweight champion of the world, is coming up in about 1 minute. This interview is going to rock your world. Don't touch that dial because you're going to find out a whole bunch of stuff you never knew about Claressa Shields right from her own mouth. This is a fascinating interview that John and I did on Saturday, and you are going to love it.
Put 'em up. Put 'em up. Which one are you afraid? I'll fight you both together if you want. I'll fight you with one paw tied behind my back. I'll fight you standing on one foot. I'll fight you with my eyes closed.
Hi, I'm Dennis Taylor, host of the Ringside Boxing Show, where since 2008 we have been continuously sponsored by Garcia Boxing, the first family of the sweet science on California's beautiful Central Coast. Trainers Max and Sam Garcia and ring strategist Dean Familton are regarded among the most knowledgeable in the game. And Kathy Garcia, who manages all Garcia boxing fighters, is renowned for her integrity and career guidance, having taken 2 boxers to #1 world rankings. Together they comprise one of the most respected teams in the sport. Learn more by calling 831-261-3214 or send them an email at garciaboxing25@aol.com.
You're listening to the Ringside Boxing Show, the hottest, sweatiest show on West Coast Radio.
Fighting out of the red corner, she's wearing white and gold, and she weighed in at 167 pounds. She was a highly decorated amateur boxer, including world amateur champion and a 2-time U.S. Olympic gold medal winner. Tonight, making her professional debut from Flint, Michigan, introducing Claressa Shields.
Hey, welcome back to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor with John J. Responti, and our featured guest today is regarded by many as the best female fighter on planet Earth right now. Claressa Shields from Flint, Michigan, was a 2-time gold medalist in the women's middleweight division in both 2012 and 2016 Olympics. She is the first U.S. boxer, male or female, to win back-to-back Olympic medals. She turned pro in November 2016 with, and 2.5 years later, she holds the IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO middleweight championship belts after just 9 fights. Claressa, congrats on all of that, and thanks for making some time for us on the Ringside Boxing Show. How's life?
No problem. Life is good right now. I'm on break, so I'm just ready to get back in the gym and start training though. But having a break is good.
Man, I bet. Yeah, it's got to be relaxing. So, okay, here's my first question for you. Claressa, what kind of little kid were you? Were you born tough, or is that something that kind of happened out of necessity along the way?
Sorry, can you say it again?
Yeah. I said, what kind of little kid were you? Were you born tough?
I can say I've always been tough, but at first I was, like, pretty shy. I didn't really talk a lot, and I was very angry, I guess. But I've always been, like, tough, though, like tough and quiet. But I didn't know how tough I was till I actually, like, you know, started getting into fights and stuff and being active. But I was more active than getting into fights at first.
Flint, Michigan can be a really rough place. It's been high on America's list of most violent cities for the past couple of decades. What kind of neighborhood was yours?
I grew up on the north side of Flint, and I can say, like, I don't, like, try to rate Flint, like, oh, this part is better, this part is worse. I just know that on the north side, there's a lot of poverty, a lot of drugs, the drug dealing going on and stuff like that. And, I mean, it was very, like, connected at a younger age. But, you know, as I got older, you know, a lot of the murder rate went up and all this crazy stuff. So, it was a pretty decent neighborhood till, you know, all this, you know, guns and stuff got involved as we got older. And with the plant leaving, it's a lot of things that changed.
Interesting. So when you were a little girl, Claressa, did you get into a lot of fights with other girls or boys, or what was it like growing up?
I only count about 2 fights that I got into when I was younger that were girls. The rest of them were guys. I got into maybe 3 or 4 fights in the 5th grade, and there were guys, and probably one of them was a girl. As I even got older, like I was always getting into fights with boys. It wasn't really a bunch of girls I was fighting with. At the age of 16, matter of fact, if I go back younger, like 12 and 13, I was outside in the yard throwing body shots with guys and seeing who would quit first. So I was one of those kind of girls, and I just like to compete and be tough and show guys that I'm stronger than them and stuff like that. So that started at a young age. But before boxing, I got into fights with majority guys more than girls.
What was it like back then to whip a guy's ass?
The same way it is now. Just like back then though, it was over petty stuff. Like I fought a guy in school because he said something about my mom. I beat him up. There was another guy who was just beating up everybody in the 3rd grade, and he was getting into fights and bullying on, like he was bullying people. And the day he tried to bully me, I beat him up. Like stuff like that. I never was like a person to start fights. I was always had a legit reason for it in my mind anyway. It's still the same way now, but now it's the sport. Whenever I get in the ring and spar, I don't take it easy on men, but I do let them know, you can't get in here and take it easy on me, or you will be picking your ass up off the canvas. So, a lot of guys that spar me be like, man, don't be getting in here I'm like, look, I'm getting in here to work. I'm getting in here to see if I'm in shape. So just keep your hands up and keep your chin down. And that's what I tell everybody, because I'm going to do the same thing.
Man, we knew you were going to be a great interview.
So, Claressa, when you were beating up these guys, did you say to yourself, hey, I'm good, I got some talent here, or was it just something you were doing?
No, it was just I was just getting into fights and more of just letting people know, you cannot try to bully me because I will fight you. I forgot who I talked to, but it probably was my grandmother who said, look, I know that they say if somebody hit you, you run and tell the teacher, but if somebody hit you, you knock the hell out of them back. And my grandmother told me that because I really wasn't good at talking and communicating. So she was like, if somebody's messing with you and you don't know how to go tell the teacher, she said, handle your business. And that's just what I started doing. In about 2nd or 3rd grade, I started getting into a lot of fights. And after that, though, by the time I got to the 6th grade, nobody was talking trash to me or trying to fight me or calling me ugly or anything by the time I got to the 6th grade. Everybody knew, Claressa will fight you. So everybody just kind of laid off, and I was more of the quiet, smart kid who did my work. And nobody really knew I was a boxer until about the 8th grade and stuff like that. I started boxing in the 6th grade.
Man, I wish I could say that about my childhood,
Really?
It would have changed my whole life if I could have kicked anybody's ass in the 5th grade. I wish I was too.
So, Claressa, were you a good kid otherwise? I mean, you were having fights and everything. Yeah, you were a good kid. You weren't really looking for trouble. You were just standing up for yourself, right?
Absolutely. I still to this day, I don't go looking for trouble. If anything, all my fights are girls trying to fight me or girls who have said something about beating me. I don't go looking for girls. You know what I mean? I've always been if a girl want to fight, then we can fight, But I'm not a bully for sure, and I've never, started trouble and picked on somebody till they fought me. It was more of anybody who I got into a fight with more than likely started the fight. Even now, the girls who have, kind of beef with me on social media, I'm never the one to start it. They're always the one starting it with me. People just don't see it, and then they're looking oh, Claressa responded, and more people see my response than them egging me on. So I was actually a good kid. If you ask my dad what kind of kid I was, he'd tell you I was an angel. My dad would tell you I was an angel. My mom, she would say the same thing. I probably, growing up, kids get spankings or whoopings, and I only got a whooping one time my entire life. So I was never a bad kid that had to get disciplined and whooped and stuff like that.
Hey, tell us more about your grandmother, the impact she had on your life. Sounds like she was really important.
Oh, yeah, my grandmother she was very important. I moved my grandmother at the age of 5. I stayed with her till I was about 9 years old, and I also lived with her 9th grade till the 10th, and she passed away when I was in the 10th grade. She just was everything. I mean, she was a cook. She used to, tell me about the Bible. She taught me how to spell my name in sign language and taught me how to do my alphabet. She let me be myself. Like, I used to run out there in the yard and play flag football with the guys. And it wasn't flag when you're, like, playing street ball, but street ball, I guess. We used to play street football, and I used to race them up and down the street. My grandma would only get upset if I hurt myself. Like, if I came to the house crying because I scraped my knee. She'd be like, you can't be out there running like you a boy all the time. But she would, just put a Band-Aid on me, let me cry, and I go right back out there and keep on playing. But she would tell me, like, certain stuff she didn't want me doing, like jumping off of trees and climbing on top of houses and stuff like that. She's like, don't do that, even though the other boys in the neighborhood was doing it. But it wasn't because she didn't want me to do it because I was a girl. She didn't want me to hurt myself. So other than that, she's like, whatever I wanted to do was fine. And my granny also was a poet. Her nickname was Hippie Girl. She had so many poems that she wrote. I mean, books that she wrote, just some of her poems. She raised me. She gave me the most love more than anybody else, and she's the reason why even though I went through a couple of hardships in life, that I still turned out to be a decent person and have a decent heart. That's because of my grandmother.
Oh, wow. Do you write poetry? Are you like Ali?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like Ali, but I do write stuff. I do write like I got like a poems album in my phone, but let me guess. You want me to read it to you?
Yeah.
You want me to read one?
Sure. Yeah.
We were waiting.
I guess I can do one. Is this one about my boyfriend? I guess I'll read this one. It's called I Can't Hold It In. It's about my boyfriend. I can't hold it in. I can't let you go. You're my best friend, and I want everyone to know. My heart is secure, same page as my soul. You send shocks through my body. I just feel you love me so. This love could be no easier. I could have no better partner. Your face sometimes just brings me laughter. Our hearts are one. 1 + 1 is 2. If I ain't got nothing, I got you. I can't hold it in. I must let it out. God is my everything, and you are second to him, no doubt. If I keep these feelings in, I'll go crazy, so I have to let them out. I have to give you the best me. Trust me, you'll learn my heart. I see a future finally, and I see it crystal clear. The man of my dreams beside me, 2017, has been a beautiful year. You accept my transformation. You accept me all the way. Baby, I know I'm sarcastic, but I was really born that way. Uncle LJ is here to stay. I love when my nephew see you. He feels like you're family right away. I can't hold it in. I must let it out. Going 2 weeks without you. What did it say? Going 2 weeks without telling you I love you is crazy for me, but I'm glad that you know. I wish a beat would try to step in between our love. I'll beat her up. I guess I'll say that. But that's it. It's like I write little stuff like
nice.
that. Like I have more, but not. It's a lot of poems that I wrote. It's about 14 here, but I don't really read them out. I just write them.
Yeah,
sure.
That's nice.
Good.
That's nice. That'll save you a lot of trouble with picking out birthday cards and stuff. You do that.
Birthday cards.
Very personal. Yeah, very personal.
So, hey, your dad, Bo Shields, introduced you to boxing, and I read that he's got an interesting background in the sport himself. Did he fight in like underground boxing leagues?
Yeah.
Did he have any interesting stories about that he shared with you?
Yeah, my dad. When I first started boxing, everybody used to call me Little Bobo. And I had just met my dad when I was 9. So when I started boxing, people that knew my dad used to just, make the resemblance be between us and tell me that me and him box similar. But I've never seen my dad box, but I have seen him fight. And he has a very mean right hand. It's like I wish I had his hands. Like his hands are very rough and big and heavy. And then I have these cute, skinny, pretty girl hands. When I need them, I need to have big, rough, heavy hands for boxing. But his nickname was Cannonball, and they used to call him Cannonball because he punched really fast and hard. So they used to call him Cannonball. And what else? My dad, he just he was known for his right hand though. Like I guess they used to call him Right Hand Happy. But on the streets, he's always had like a very big name as far as in the underground, street fighting go. And all my family has always told like he's the most respected in my family. Like if any males ever like tried to fight or anything, it was always just stay away from Bobo. Like don't do nothing to his daughters. Stay away from Bobo because my dad was known for like putting guys out.
Wow. Okay, so you started boxing when you were 11. Is that correct? Were you 11 years old when you started?
Yeah, 11. Yep.
Okay. What do you remember about the first few times you went to the gym, which obviously was considered a male domain, right? What kind of reception did you get? You're curious.
You know what? I remember the first week like crystal clear. Like my first day coming to the gym, I remember Jason Crutchfield asked me, why you want to box? And I said, I'm just tired of losing in team sports. And he's like, okay, so boxing is an individual sport. Like, it's a team sport when we're down here. But when you get in the ring, it's only you and your opponent. And I said, that's what I want. Yeah. And I just was like, I don't think nobody can beat me one-on-one. I had that attitude from the first day I went to the gym. I guess, like, the second day we did, like, he showed me some boxing stuff. And then at the end of practice, every practice we did calisthenics. And it was like, stuff for our abs, 6 inches, push-ups. And we did the 6 inches, and the first time we did it, I caught a cramp in my stomach. And Darion is a guy who I was boxing with back then. He looked at me, and he said, I had told you boxing wasn't for a girl. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. And I looked at him and I said, shut up. I don't know you. And I was 11 years old. And Darion is the first guy that I sparred, but I just remember the first week when my coach was showing me the jab and put me on the wall and showing me how to stand and everything. He was just super impressed, like, oh, she's fast. She's doing it better than the boys. Like, she's making sure she got her form right before we do the next jab. And she listens. And from there, like, I just was, like, dedicated to getting better. And Darion was the first guy I sparred. I got in there and sparred a guy who had 6 years experience when I was only there for 2 months. And Darion, like, he messed with me every day. He just was like, I'm going to beat you up. Me and you the same size. We're going to have to spar. You're going to get beat up by a boy. I'm not letting no girl beat me up. And, like, Darion used to say this to me every day. But while he was talking to me, like, messing with me, I was always punching and bag as hard as I could, trying to get the side right, trying to get the form right, trying to get a stronger jab. Like, I was always just, like, focusing. And it was times where I was hitting the bag and Darion was running around the ring laughing and talking to everybody. And then all of a sudden, one day, 2 months came, and we were getting in the ring. And I was just so excited, and Jason was like, you ready to spar today? I was like, oh, my God, yes. And I ran there. I put my headgear on, and I was getting there to spar against Darion. And Darion was just smiling at me like, yes, this is the day I've been waiting for. And as soon as we went out there, Darion came right out and hit me right in the nose with a right hand. And my eyes got watery, and my nose got red. And that's when T-Rex was born, because I kicked Darion's ass. Yeah.
Wow. So tell us more about Jason Crutchfield, your first coach. Obviously, he meant a lot to you in your career in those early days, right?
I mean, he still do. I mean, even though he doesn't train me anymore and I have a different coach now, he trained me from the age of 11 till, 19? And I even worked with, and I even won my first world title with him in the pro. So after we didn't work together for a time, after I turned pro, he was my first coach that he's my second coach that I worked with, just started my pro career, and then we ended up separating again. But, he taught me a lot. He taught me how to stand. He taught me my form. He taught me combinations, my head movement. Only thing he didn't teach me was my heart. I was born with that. but everything else I can say he taught me, and I've learned from so many coaches that I've been around. If you look at me living at the Olympic Training Center and being able to interact with so many different coaches, all of them have been able to teach me certain things. Coach Al Mitchell, 1996, the Olympic coach, he taught me how to, was it 2004, I believe, he taught me how to move on my feet. Like, he taught me the angles and how to move on my legs and, how to go left and how to go right and how to, get them in this angle to get this punch. Coach Al taught me that. And, it's so many coaches who taught me so many things. And, but I already had, like, a very solid foundation, and, like, how I stand and how I slip and how I punch and everything like that. I always had a solid foundation with my first coach, but coaches add on to that. Even like Coach John, teaching me that patience and just being able to drive through my punches more and be able to stay calm in the fight even if I get hit, and learning that it's a thinking sport and it's a hurting sport, but you have to set up the shot. Like, I've been learning that with Coach John, as you've seen in the last couple of fights. So I've always had a solid foundation, and I always thank my first trainer for that. Regardless of if we're on good terms, bad terms, or like medium terms, he'll always have that place as he gave me my foundation. He taught me very well, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have all these titles. He taught me very well.
This is the Ringside Boxing Show from Monterey, California. I'm Dennis Taylor with John J. Responsi, and we are talking to Claressa Shields, who, get this, she's one of only 6 boxers in history, male or female, to hold all 4 major titles, WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO, all at the same time. Claressa, here's another stat that's going to blow people away. You were 77-1 as an amateur. The loss came to a British fighter named Savannah Marshall at the Women's World Championships in China. That's still the only blemish on your record as an amateur or pro. Does that stick in your craw? Does that eat at you?
Nah. I always tell people, like, no, we don't, because I lost 2012 in the month of, May? And then the Olympics came around, and I won the Olympics 2012 after she beat me. She beat me. I went to the Olympics. I won the Olympic gold medal at the age of 17. And then I went back again, 2016, won another Olympic gold medal. And also Savannah Marshall was at the World Championships 2014 and 2016. And I was number 1 there, too. I won the gold medal in both the World Championships. So I'm not mad about it. Of course, I would love to fight her just to show her that, she beat a young, unexperienced fighter. But, I mean, it's not something that I carry around like it's just so bad or it hurts my feelings or something. No.
So she is, right now, I think she's 6-0 as a super middleweight, 1 division north of where you've been fighting. Has she shown any real interest in facing you as a pro?
No.
No.
Nah, she talks. She talks and, she say stuff like, oh, keep the belts warm for me and stuff like that. But it's like, if you can beat a girl, you can beat her, right? Like, I knew I could beat Christina Hammer, even though she was this season professional, 24-0, 11 knockouts, undefeated, 5'11", strong German fighter. And I didn't tell her, oh, let me get my experience up and all that. I fought her when I was 8-0. So when she says, like, let me get my experience up, it's like, what do you mean? You've been boxing longer than me. You've been to more tournaments than me. Even though we've been pro at the same time, like, she's older than me also. So it's kind of weird when she say, like, she want to get more experience in the pros and then fight me. I just be, like, confused. But I just know that when you know you can beat a girl, you just go and beat her ass. You don't wait till, I have to learn this and learn that. Like me, whoever they tell me I'm fighting, all I do is go in the gym and get ready. That's all I do.
Which of your gold medals was more exciting for you?
2016, I say.
Second one.
I got to do more things. It was such a greater time. It was such a big feat for me because out of all the great American Olympic gold medalists that we have, there's only one person that have 2 Olympic gold medals for boxing, and that's myself. There's no other man did it, no other woman. As far as the USA, it's just me. So when I was going to do something, it was kind of impossible for an American boxer to go to back-to-back Olympics and win 2 Olympic gold medals. Like, they were saying it's going to be harder to win an Olympic gold medal in 2016. And I just knew, like, man, I'm about to get this Olympic gold medal so easy. And then I just remember, like, going in there every match just confident, knowing that I put in the hard work, that I was focused, and that it was destined for me to do it. Like, God had chose me to be the person to do it. So once I got in there and then it actually happened, it's like, yo, you just did something that was impossible and made it possible. Like, it kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Okay. Claressa, if you were a male middleweight, you would have a whole bunch of options right now. As a female, after just 9 pro fights, you've already taken out most of the top fighters in or near your weight division. Most recently, we saw you win almost every single round against Christina Hammer. You might have won it every round, who was 24-0 and held 2 title belts. Is that a frustration for you that there aren't more top fighters for you to face?
No. I say that if I would have took the long route, then I think it would be harder. I just think that I'm going for the top girls, and there's always girls coming up. I'm not worried that they may run out of girls for me to fight or anything like that. I believe that there'll always be another woman fighter who feels that she's studied me and feels that she can beat me. It's so much more history to make. Like, I beat Christina Hammer, and I'm the second woman to become the undisputed champion. But now we're thinking about going to 154 and becoming a 3-division champion faster than any other boxer. Lomachenko did it in 12 fights. So right now we're just trying to figure out a plan to where I can become a 3-time division champ before 12 fights, so I can beat Lomachenko's record. There are great champions at 154. We have Hannah Gabriels. We have Iwa Piatosco. We have Ivana Habazin. It's a lot of girls at 154 who hold titles. So, I would love to fight one of them, but we just don't know when yet, because going down in weight is not easy, especially me starting at 168, and I've already come down to 160, and then now, trying to have a fight with the champion at 154 before my 12th fight is like, it's just a big push. So, we're just trying to make a plan for that. But there's always more history. There's always more champions. And it's always, you're trying to make those fights. Like, I'm trying to make a fight with me and Cecilia Brockett at 154, even though she's 147, but she's 35-0. Yep. She's been around for years. She's the other undisputed woman champion. So it's like, I'm trying to get a fight with her, and hopefully it happens. Hopefully if she see that I got the guts to come down, which is more detrimental to her coming up. It's like I'm the one losing weight, knowing that I'm a bigger girl. I think people have to take that into account. Like, losing weight is not easy. Gaining weight is easy. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Okay, when you fought Hammer, it was a main event on Showtime, a big deal, and you two made history that night. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was fun, all of it. The trash talk was fun. The build up, the week of the fight was fun. Just being able to walk past her in the same hotel. She have her crew and I have my crew, and they're yelling stuff at us and we're yelling stuff at them. And then I'm flicking her off and she's flicking me off. Like, it was like fun. You know what I mean? Even the fight, I guess it wasn't fun for Hammer, but it definitely was fun for me. And after all the trash talk, like, that's what's so unique about boxing. You trash talk, you say all this stuff, and then you finally get the chance, just you and that person get to get in the ring and look at each other in the eyes, touch gloves, and then make that decision in your head, like, let the best woman win. Like, I'm ready to fight, and you can leave it all in the ring. Like, that's what's so great about the sport of boxing to me. Like, we can have whatever differences that we can hate each other, but once we get in the ring, we can see who the baddest chick is, and we can see who the best is. We had that chance to do that. And then after, it's all respect and love. But it's just something about just the whole build, like the whole build-up that's just great. It's just great to me. It's great to be able to do that, to be able to get in there one-on-one and fight it out. That's one of the main reasons why I talk trash. I always talk trash so I can make sure I get in there and back it up.
Did you believe that Hammer really believed she could beat you, or was that because actually I didn't get that impression from her. I thought that she knew deep down that you were better, but she was going to fight you, but she knew you were better than her. Did you get that feeling, or did you think she really was that confident?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you got that, but every time I seen her, I had this, like, she had this energy as if she kind of looked down on me. You know, like she looked like, yeah, like she really thought she could beat me. And look, to me, it was comical. I always laugh when any girl thinks that, to be honest. But it was like with her, she had so much confidence. Like, I'm coming to the U.S. I'm going to beat her. She was like, I don't like her. She was just saying, you know, stuff like, yeah, she's a good fighter, but she's not good as me. And she was saying she's a better boxer. Like, she's going to keep me on the outside, and I'm not going to be able to figure her out. Like, she was talking like I was just like a strong machine, and she was just this boxing scientist who knew the sport and knew everything about me. But I knew what would play in my favor was that she was very cocky. And people say that I'm cocky, but people don't understand. Like, I get in the gym and train. Like, I train like a maniac. Coach John be telling me sometimes, like, Claressa, just take off today. You don't, your whole body is sore. You got cramps. He like, just take a day off. And I'm like, no, I gotta work. And he like, you gotta recover. And he constantly telling me, like, you gotta recover. You have to get a massage. You have to take ice baths. Like, but I'm like, I have to train. So when girls be like, you know, trying to say like I'm cocky, no, I work my ass off every camp. And I mean, I get in the best shape physically possible for me. I eat clean to the teeth. And I just knew that Hammer wasn't doing that. Like, when I was watching the 24, I was watching the All Access, and I was just watching it. And, you know, people was watching it to see whatever she was saying, but I didn't care about what she was saying. I wanted to see her workouts. Like, what kind of workout she doing? Is she sparring? Like, what is she putting up on here? And if you're going to watch the All Access, everything is scripted with her. Like, it got a scene where she's running up a hill. She probably ran up that hill for the video, and then after that told them to cut the camera. It got a scene where she was doing this hard ab workout, about 5 seconds. Then the camera switched to something else. It never showed her sparring. It never showed her actually, like, doing, like, a jog or a run. And it never even showed her fully on the pads. And it was like everything was scripted. She was underestimating me so bad that she thought she could just train for the cameras to make herself look good, but not really like train. She was more worried about how people would see the All Access and if they would like her being cute and pretty. But then when you watch the All Access on my side, I'm in the ring sparring. I'm getting hit and I'm hitting people. I'm on the pad. I'm jumping rope. I'm doing a rower. I'm on a bike, got my legs burning, I'm running. It's so many things I did for camp. And you can just see, like, it's all, like, they're showing up to the gym and they're shooting me. I already told them, like, I'm not doing nothing specific until after camp. Like, if you guys want to set up lights and, you know, have me on a bag, we can do that. But if you guys are going to shoot my boxing workouts, just shoot me. I'm not going to set up anything to have it shot. Like, just wherever y'all do, just stay out the way. Like, don't get in the middle of the pad. Y'all can record me, whatever, but be a fly on the wall and watch me work. And they would be in the gym with me 2, 3, 4 hours. And I'm in there just working. And that's what the footage was for the All Access. And when I see Hammer fight, I said, man, she crazy. She ain't even training. She thinks it's a joke. She thought she was just that much better than me. And she didn't know, like, even if you was better than me, you're not going to be that much better than me come fight night because I'm working to get there. I'm making sure that I can get close as possible to a victory every fight.
Wow. Kind of reminds me of when Andre Ward fought Mikkel Kessler, Claressa. I was there, and he was so confident that he just thought he was going to show up and beat Andre Ward, a gold medalist like you. You know, it was crazy. So I mean, and he found it humorous too. So I mean, you must have been kind of like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, I did. You know, but at the same time, I knew for a fact I wasn't underestimating her, because I know people watch footage of me and they can say what they want, but it's so much that I haven't shown. And I was thinking to myself, what if she got a lot in her that she doesn't show in her fights? You know, maybe she's waiting for the girl to come and bring it out of her too. So I was like, I want to make sure I get over ready, just in case if she do pull out some tricks that I do need to be prepared for. So even though I didn't like Christina Hammer's attitude, I love her as an opponent. I love that she was undefeated and that she would come in the fight and lay it on the line and beat me. So with me giving her that respect, I went in the gym and trained my butt off for her. I really did. I went to Colorado Springs in the mountains. I ran. I mean, the first time I sparred 5 rounds. I mean, I could not breathe down there. But by the time I left Colorado, I was sparring 11 rounds, non-stop, and being able to go for a jog after. So I knew I was in shape. I did everything I was supposed to do when I was there for that 6 weeks getting ready.
Yeah. Did that make a difference? Training at altitude and then coming back down?
It makes a huge difference. You feel like you can fly when you come down. You feel like you can fly. I mean, I can. When I first got back, when I first got to Florida after leaving Colorado Springs, I mean, I could run like 6 miles. 6 miles, about 30 minutes, without even breathing hard. And I had to tell myself to stop. Like, don't run your legs out. Don't pull a muscle. You know, just get your run in and leave. It's kind of wind down. But instead, I was like, hell, I could run 6 miles. Might as well do it.
Yeah. Oh, really? Gosh, amazing. So you mentioned Cecilia Brækhus, the welterweight champ for Norway, with that impressive 35-0 record. She's a welterweight, though, and that's 2 divisions under you. You're interested in that, in fighting her, right? Because it would obviously be a big-time challenge to fight somebody undefeated and then fight a welterweight, right?
One, I feel like it's just a great women's match. I feel like women's boxing have a lot of catching up to do. In men's boxing, we've had undisputed versus undisputed, but in women's boxing, we've never had that. We need to have the undisputed women fight against each other. We need to have the unification matches. We need to have the grudge matches happen. Like, I wish Layla Ali and Ann Wolfe would come out of retirement and fight each other. Like, women's boxing hasn't had that. We have so much to catch up on. And it's like, I want to fight her. Now that I want to fight a welterweight, I want to fight the best. And if she's the only woman who's undisputed like myself, it would be like, it should be something competitive in her to where she's like, I want to fight her. Like, I've been reigning for so long. Like, I want to see, is it a girl who really can match me? That's how I am. That's why I continue to do this, and I don't fight nobody who don't have an undefeated record or who's a title holder. So fighting her would be the ultimate for me. She's 35-0. And her coming up to 154, like I said, I feel like it would be more hurtful to me. Because, like I said, I started at 168. So if I start at 168, that means I walk around bigger. You know, I walk around about 175. So I already came down to 68. Then I fight 60. And then it come down to 54. Like, I'm the one who's really doing all the work. She kind of just, like, training and showing up, to be honest. I mean, she got to train hard, for sure. But it's not going to be as much stress on her because she's not losing weight. She gets to just gain weight and even gain some muscle when I may have to lose. You know what I mean? So, so with that is like, I mean, it would be, to me, if I was selfish, I'd be like, oh, just come to 160 or forget it. But I want to give the fans a great fight. So in order for me to think it's fair, I'm going down 1. She's coming up 1. Hopefully that's fair enough for her, you know, and I think it's perfect because it's happening in men's boxing. Mikey Garcia went up 2 weight classes to fight Earl Spence.
Yep. Right. That's right. Yeah, we had on Jonathan Banks, you know, her trainer, on our show a few weeks ago, and he said 154 was the weight. So tell me, you know, you're walking around, you said at 175, you fight at 168. How do you get down to 154? I'm sorry, you fight at 160. How do you get down to 154? And I mean, you would be strong and everything, right? I mean, people say that's only 6 pounds, but still, you would have to change up your routine a little bit, right?
Yep.
It'd just be more, just more cardio. And honestly, you don't know how your body gonna feel till fight day. I'm just being honest. Like, you know, it's days when I spar when I'm sore. I spar when my legs hurt, and because it's like once it's fight day, you don't know how you're gonna feel. To be honest, like you do everything to make sure that you feel good, but you really just however you feel is what you got to work with. And it's been fights where I felt sluggish, I felt tired, and I'm like, I know that I prepared right though, so that's where I still get in there and I perform. And then now I have a great nutrition team who's been helping me feel even better. So I don't know how my body will feel at 154. I know my first time going down to 160, and when I fought against Hannah Gabriel, it was very hard. The last 3 pounds of the 160 just would not come off. This is before my nutrition team, and I think that's what happened with the knockdown. But like I said, just that whole week of trying to lose that 3 pounds right before the fight, I mean, I was drained, I was tired, I had starved a day and a half, not eating, not drinking, and I even trained to get the 3 pounds off because I just did not know that going down to 160 from 168 would be so hard. Even though like that was a fight that I won, I feel like she only won maybe 2 rounds out of that fight against Hannah Gabriel.
Yeah.
But I just think that after that, I just started changing things. Like, you know what? I know that I train extremely hard, but to lose weight, you have to have a great nutrition plan. It's not all about the working out and the sweating. It's about the eating, the water intake, and also the recovery. So with all that, I have a great nutrition team and professional athletes, and they make sure that they get me together. That's how I feel good at 160, and they have so much faith. They think I can go down to 147, and I keep telling them, like, listen, 154 is the lowest I'm going. But they're like, you can make 147 and you can feel good at 47. I'm like,
no.
I would feel good for the first 3-4 rounds. Then after that, I'll be getting my ass kicked.
Yeah, you pick 147, pal.
Yeah, really.
We're talking to Claressa Shields. She's the undefeated, undisputed middleweight champion of the world, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. You started training in 2018 with John David Jackson. Was that a tough decision for you or a very easy one to leave Flint for Florida to train with John?
I'm not going to say it was easy, but I can say it was needed. I know that life, in order to have something, you have to be willing to sacrifice something. And I just had to get away from home to where I can really focus and grow the way that I wanted to and get to where I wanted to get to. Like, I could have did it with my former coach, but he didn't want to just come train in Florida. Like, I just cannot focus here in Michigan. I just can't. It's too many distractions. You have friends. You have family. It's just so much to deal with, especially when you're in camp. And I'm like, in camp, really all I do is eat, sleep, train, and then do it again the next day for 6 weeks straight. And it's like doing it here, you got family calling you middle of the night, it's just too much. So, when I decided to leave at first, it wasn't that it was so easy to pick him as a coach. It was like I had another fight coming up so fast that I just was like, man, I need to get a coach ASAP. I need to have a good coach. And I was at a gym that had a bunch of coaches. It was big time gym. And Coach John Davis, he coached a few coaches down there. Michael Moore was in our gym. Mooney, he's a 1990.
Yep.
Yeah, Charles Mooney. He was in the gym. He's a silver medalist in the Olympics. We had quite a few coaches in the gym I was at, and I kind of just watched people work with their fighters and do the pads, and I kind of was like, I thought Coach John fit me the best. And I actually had a conversation with Mooney, and I had a conversation with John, and I asked him, what do you think I could do to you know, be a better boxer. And, you know, there's a lot of coaches who feel like women's boxing is so easy. They just be like, oh, you got it. You ain't barely got to train. You could just do it. But that's not the answer I'm looking for. Coach John was like, well, I don't think it's going to be a fight. And I think you should, you know, relax more and, you know, use your, set up your shots. And, you know, he was critiquing me in ways that I wanted to be critiqued, like stuff that I already knew that I was just working toward. Like I knew I had to get there somehow, but that I wasn't there. So when he was telling me that I need to make these changes, I'm like, okay, you know what he's talking about. So we started working together, and slowly we've been able to grow together.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you feel like you've grown a lot since you've joined JD?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just the patience. Like, I'm like so protective of just like not getting hit and, you know, being the one to hit first. And I noticed that I've slowed down my punches. I've picked my shots. I have dictated fights way easier using my jab and just relaxing and having fun. Like after every fight, I'm happy watching the footage. I'm like, wow, I cannot believe I did that. Like, oh, I flipped. And then it's like me just watching that is like better than seeing footage of me my first 2 or 3 fights where I was just in there just punching, trying to be first, trying to be last, you know, throwing punches that I didn't even see there just because I knew I could throw it, you know. But it's like now I see I land cleaner shots, harder shots. I look more polished, and I feel more relaxed, and I get hit less. So I'm like, this is great. I actually feel really good about what me and Coach JD are doing. And listen, I may not. People say I'm not a big knockout puncher. They are 100% wrong. Every fight, I've been getting closer and closer to that big knockout. But all these girls keep holding me. All these girls keep covering up. You know, it was even one fight I fought against Sydney LeBlanc. I mean, I beat her. I beat her down 8 rounds straight. You go and look up that fight on YouTube. It should have been stopped. I think the girl lost a few brain cells that fight. It was terrible. It was. I mean, I've never beat up somebody so bad to where in a fight I just kind of felt bad for them. But I'm like, I gotta do it. You know, so I beat her up every round. I mean, like, it was some rounds I hit her with 10, 12. She didn't respond for over 10 seconds. Ref just let her take it. And it was just like, wow.
How many knockouts would you have if you were fighting 3-minute rounds?
Yeah.
I believe so. I'm 9-0. 2 knockouts. I believe I'd be 9-0 with like 6 knockouts if we was fighting 3-minute rounds, because I almost had Hannah Rankin out of there. Same thing with Hannah Gabriels, Femke Herman, and even Christina Hammer. That's at least 4. That's at least 4 fights that I can think of where these girls were holding, tired. I was beating them up, and then right at the end of the bell, when I heard them, the bell rang. Yeah, so another minute would have been great.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have no doubt you would have knocked out Hammer. Yep.
Oh yeah, she was hurt. She was in bad shape. So what's on your immediate horizon, Claressa? When do you expect to be in the ring again?
I expect to be in the ring again mid-August, I believe, or beginning of August. I'm not really sure yet. I'm waiting for my team to get back with me and let me know. We don't know if that fight's gonna be at 154 or 160, but whichever, we'll get ready for it and we'll go from there. But August.
Okay. Is there anybody in mind already that you can divulge that you'll be fighting in August, or is that you guys are still talking about it?
We're still talking about it, but you know, really, anybody who wants their ass kicked, you know, I don't care. I don't care. Whoever want to show up to get beat down, whoever want to prove that they can beat me, come on, show up.
Okay, cool. So what's the coolest thing you've gotten to do because of your boxing career? I mean, you were on the Colbert Report in 2012. That must have been fun. But is there something else that was just incredible that you look back at and smile since you've been doing this?
Oh man, everything. I mean, everything is so fun to me. Like, people may see me in the ring and think I'm just this mean, you know, strong monster. But outside the ring, people love me. I laugh a lot. I've been able to meet so many kids and just be able to meet and talk to so many people. So, I don't know. Like, I've been on a few shows. I was on 106 in Park. I just was on a Steve Harvey show this week. I got to be up on a Celebrity Family Feud with Andre Ward and Amir Khan and Andre Berto. It was so and freaking Michaela Mayer. And that comes out June 1st. So if you want to see the Family Feud with the boxers, it comes out June 1st. But I've got to do so many great things. I don't know which one is like the best. You know, I just think like I don't know. I can say recently after I became the undisputed champion, I had a meet and greet at my first gym that I ever boxed at. So that's at Burston Fieldhouse in Flint, Michigan, and over 1,000 people showed up. I mean, people drove from Chicago, Toledo, Texas. People came to actually see me for this event, and people flew off from Cali. And just to be able to get an autograph from me and get a picture from me and tell me congrats on becoming an undisputed champion. And it meant a lot, even though 1,000 showed up for the fight. They just took the time out of their schedules to fly all the way to Flint, Michigan, just to come to my meet and greet and to see me and get an autograph and take a picture and say nice things. It really meant a lot. And there was a lot of kids that showed up, and my heart was just touched. You know, I just was like, wow, I wish. You know, growing up, it's like every time I do something, I'm like, dang, growing up, I didn't even have a female role model. And now I have little girls walking up to me like, I want to be a boxer because of you. And I didn't even have a female role model growing up. Or like a female boxer who I looked up to. And then to see that girls look up to me, and then to see, you know, little boys look up to me. And just to see, like, you know, a girl came up there praying and just was like, I continue to, you know, to continue to fight in my life because you, like, you make me feel stronger. You inspire me. And when everybody was like, and the girl started crying, and I just was like, what the heck? And it's just stuff like that really means a lot to me. People mean a lot to me.
What do you want to do when you're done as a fighter? You got a great head on your shoulders. What do you want to do?
I want to be an actress. Shut up! Sorry.
You want to be an actress?
I want to be an actress. I would love to be a training coach. I actually want to be a boxing coach, and I want to train one of the female Olympic teams. I believe that if I was the coach of the female Olympic team, everybody would win a gold medal. I just feel like in my heart I could do that. Really could.
Hey, you've been real generous with your time today, and, man, I hope you had as much fun as we did today, Claressa.
We loved it.
Really a good time on the and so glad we had you today on the Ringside Boxing Show.
You're welcome, and thank you guys for having me. Hopefully you edit out the part where I yelled, shut up, but whatever.
That's great.
That adds to the charm. Claressa Shields, T-Rex, was a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. She's one of only 6 boxers in history, male or female, to hold all 4 major titles, WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO, all at the same time. The only problem she has is finding opponents that are worthy of being in the ring with her. Claressa, great talking to you. Best of luck to you, and thanks again for making some time for us on the Ringside Boxing Show.
No problem. You're welcome.
Thank you. Good
all
luck.
Right. Hey, do you like this show? Do us a solid and tell your boxing friends about it. Post the Ringside Boxing Show on your social media platforms and help us grow. Claressa, that goes for you, too. Put us on Twitter, would you? Retweet us.
Okay.
All right?
You
and
bet.
Also, if you haven't yet discovered the best website in the world for daily boxing news, you got something to add to your bucket list, something to do right now. We update this site 365 days a year with all the top headlines and best stories in the sport. Check out RingsideBoxingShow.com, and you will be amazed. RingsideBoxingShow.com. We want to thank our expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwan Zahid, John J. Responsi, for their weekly contributions to this show, as well as our outstanding British correspondent, Paul McLaughlin. And another big thank you today to our featured guest, the unified world middleweight champion, women's division, undefeated Claressa Shields. And, of course, thanks to you, Ringside Nation, for being a part of our worldwide audience again today. Keep your chin tucked. We'll talk to you again next week on the Ringside Boxing Show.
Well, it's a great day for me to whoop somebody's ass. It's a bad day, so you better get off of my back. You might get cold cocked if you cross my path.